Okay, we're going to start the meeting. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Directors special meeting. This meeting is called a special meeting simply due to the fact that it's being held on a day that is not on our usual meeting dates. I want to start off the meeting by making a few announcements regarding the ground rules and how this meeting will be conducted. The Board of Directors must be given the opportunity to meet in a manner that allows them to conduct business. In this spirit, the public chat function has been removed. Attendees are able to message me or the co-host, Rachel Rudley, and those messages will be provided to the Board of Directors following the conclusion of the meeting. Additionally, all participants except for board members must remain on mute to allow the Board of Directors to conduct business. In the event that there is internal fighting and Board of Directors are speaking over one another, I will mute all participants, including board members. This may result in extended periods of silence. However, in a regular in-person meeting, the standards are the same. These measures have to be taken due to the fact that we are meeting virtually. We will do our best to usher the meeting forward and ask that all participants treat each other fairly and with respect. Meetings on behalf of the association will be managed in this fashion moving forward. At this time, we're going to proceed with starting the meeting in a customary fashion by turning the microphone over to the board president, Paul Jakey. Paul, would you like to call this meeting to order? I'm going to unmute you. Just give me a second.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, let's call the meeting to order. This is the Board of Directors meeting for Towngate Master Association. We're calling it to order. Stephanie, I don't have an agenda in front of me, so I'm going to have to rely on you to kind of bump me along here to make sure we get to our next segments.
The first thing on the agenda is going to be the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes that have not been approved yet. This is for the February 16th meeting and the March 16th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make a motion to move the minutes. Do I have a second?
Paul, I second.
Whoa. What are you seconding?
The approval of the minutes.
Okay, we're approving the minutes. Okay, thank you.
Rui,
Okay, Rui, I am in the middle. Rui, I am in the middle of making my motion. If you have something you want to say, just let us make the motion and you can object at that point. Thank you. We have a second. The motion's been brought by me, seconded by Ronnie. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed? Okay. Thank you, Rui. That's a very nice sign. Thank you. So, okay, Rui, what is it you want to say? You want to object to this meeting? Okay. Thank you, Rui. Do you have anything to add to that? No? Okay. Does that mean you're signing off or are you staying on?
okay, go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is the president's report. So, Paul, can proceed.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. There's a couple of things I do want to speak to, and one is the special meeting, as it were. The reason that we're having this meeting is because the last meeting, which got sidetracked by all of the other issues that are going on with this alternative board, which, by the way, does not exist. We did secure legal counsel who has agreed with that and suggests that was an unlawful meeting to do the recall for a variety of reasons. So what I'd like to do is also talk to that issue, because the reason why it was such a shortened meeting is because we had no authority to, or felt like we weren't sure if we had the authority. That's subsequently been cleared up. So we're planning on doing a very good, healthy, working meeting tonight to address the issues such as the pool and so on tonight. So that's what we need to get to. I just want to make sure everyone knows this is the board. This board, whatever you see on social media or anything else, is not the board. And I would suggest those people that are putting those things out there, you run the risk, if you don't cease and desist, of having legal issues. And we're asking you to please cease and desist. Let the board do its work. That's what we're doing. We're doing our work. In fact, ARCs are being approved. We are paying our bills. The rest of the board is working. Ronnie and myself, because the board is down to 3 members, have had to take on a lot of extra tasks, and we're doing all those things on the behalf of this community. I also want to comment that when I was elected, Ronnie and I and Rui were elected back in November, I was approached by someone from the community representing a small group of people, and she asked me if I would mind if they would support me. I said, that's fine. But I did make it very clear, and I will continue to make it clear. I am not beholden to anyone. I act in the most reasonable way I believe in the interest of this entire community, not a few people who are disgruntled about some other activities. I've not lied. I've not misconstrued anything. The things that you see being put out about me and by Ronnie, are incorrect, invalid, and untrue. Furthermore, I did not run for president. I ran to be on the board. This group, furthermore, wanted me to be president. I acquiesced, said I would do that on behalf of the entire community, and I continue to do that. I act in the best interest of this entire community. I am part of the community. There's nothing in it for me to not do it in the best interest of the entire Towngate. We are doing everything we need to do in order to keep the business running. We have things that we need to do, and we want to get them accomplished tonight. I suggest that everyone just bring it all down. Let's try to have a good working relationship as a community so that we can get things done. That's all I'm asking, is just cooperation. And I'm asking specifically from cooperation from Rui, our vice president, who's continued to put out misinformation and put out information that's completely untrue. And to this day, I still can't figure out what is it she's asking for. That concludes my president's report. I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to continue to do the work on behalf of this entire Towngate community. What's next on our agenda? Thanks, Stephanie.
Okay, Paul, we're going to move forward with the next item, which is the board status and appointment of the new members. But
Okay.
first, let's start with the board status.
Okay.
Okay.
You want
to go ahead, Paul?
Yeah. Stephanie, let me take it from here, because we've got, as many of you know, 2 of the remaining board members resigned. It was over a month ago. It might be 6 or 8 weeks ago now. So we have now 2 empty board positions that we need to fill. We asked over a month ago for people who are interested in running to please submit their names for consideration. The other thing that we need to do at this point is we need to take a motion to invalidate the the results from the so-called meeting of March, I forget whatever the date was, 16th or something, I forget. Do you remember what the date was, Stephanie?
March 3rd.
March 3rd. Okay, so we need to, I will make a motion to invalidate the results of that so-called recall meeting. Do I have a second to that? Ronnie or Rui, do I have a second?
Sorry, I was muted. I second it.
Second.
Rui, I unmuted you.
Rui? Go ahead, Rui.
Rui, you're unmuted. Rui, I've sent you an additional request to unmute yourself. You can go ahead and speak. She's deciding to mute herself back, so.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Rui. So we'll vote. All those in favor of what?
Don't let me vote. I protest
Rui,
Okay, you're talking now. Let's.
we sent you the
So
request.
this is the discussion about the invalidating the results of that so-called meeting. You have discussion about that item? We're not at that right now, Rui. We are now taking a vote on the invalidation of the results. You're speaking out of turn, Rui. Rui, you're speaking out of turn right now. The item that's on the table right now, the item on the table right now is a vote.
Rui and Paul, Rui and Paul, we cannot hear you guys if you're speaking at the same time. Paul, if you have something to say, or Rui, if you want to go ahead first, let us know.
Okay, Rui, right now, what's on the table, and I wish you would follow along with us here. I know it's hard to keep up with it, but if you could stay along with us, we right now have a motion and a second to invalidate the results. You've brought up a completely different issue. You'll have a chance to do that, but for right now, we have a vote on the floor. I'm asking for a vote. All those in favor of the invalidation of those results signify by saying aye. Aye.
Ronnie,
Do you see her?
I don't.
She's still on.
Yeah, she's still on. She's muted. Hold on. I just sent her a request. Ronnie?
Just give us one moment. Let me see if I can. She said she's here.
She's here. That's really. Nope, she dropped off. Something happened. She dropped off.
I think she just rejoined the meeting.
Yeah.
All right, so, okay. Can you see her rejoining?
There she is. Ronnie, you there? There you are.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost connection.
Okay.
All right, so on the table is the vote for the invalidation, which was motion by me, seconded by you. I voted aye. We're waiting for you to vote and for Rui to vote.
I vote aye too.
Thank you. And then to Rui, do you have a vote on this item?
Stephanie, did you send her a request?
I just sent it to her now.
Okay.
You have to unmute yourself, Rui.
Rui, he sent you a request. I saw you unmuted yourself, but I don't know what's going on. We sent you another request, Rui.
She's unmuted. She's unmuted now. Go ahead, Rui, speak.
Rui,
You have a vote, Rui. Do you have a vote?
Paul, would you like to move forward or?
We will answer, my opinion is we should answer the question in open forum.
Yeah, I'd like to keep to the agenda because we've got a long agenda in front of us. Rui, if you would like to come back to that, can we table that till we come back to it? I don't want to go through this the entire meeting long, Rui, please. I'm
And
trying
Rui,
to get through this as best we can.
So Paul,
So
she put an unhappy face, so that means she's opposed to the situation. So I think we need to move forward.
Well, it doesn't matter whether she votes for it, against it. It's already been approved 2-1 or 2-0. It doesn't matter. It's the majority rule. So that has been invalidated. Moving on to the next part of this meeting. I believe, Stephanie, keep me honest with this. I believe the next step is the appointment of 2 new board members. Is that correct?
correct, Paul.
Okay. So we had sent out a correspondence to the community some time ago for candidates to replace the 2 remaining spots. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that these would just fulfill or fill out the rest of the terms of the 2 board members that had resigned. So they would be up. Do you know when their terms would be up?
November.
Okay, so these would only be until the next general election for board members. So there are 2 board members that we need to appoint, and I'll open it up to the floor for Ronnie or Rui if you have candidates you'd like us to consider among the 4 that we received. The 4 that I have are Bruce Solomon, Chris Plummer, Stacy Warren, and Gino Kennedy. Ronnie, I'll go to you. Do you have a preference as to, just naming one person at this point?
Ronnie or Rui?
Ronnie. I think
Ronnie?
Rui is. Ronnie or Rui.
Ronnie, unmute yourself.
Ronnie, are you? Ronnie, I've sent you the request to unmute yourself.
It's like she can't hear you.
All right, okay, am I still, you can hear me?
We can hear you, Paul. I'm just trying to unmute.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to nominate Bruce Solomon for the board at this point, until we get Ronnie's kind of thing fixed.
I second that.
Okay?
Rui-
Any discussion?
Rui,
Rui?
a request was sent to unmute yourself.
It takes a little bit, but it does work. It just takes a little bit for it to unmute.
We got to wait till you get unmuted. We can see your lips move, we can't hear you. Just
A request.
give it a minute.
She's unmuted now.
Now she just keeps muting herself back. Okay, Paul.
All right. So, Rui, I can I can see your lips moving. I know you're trying to talk, but you're muted. We cannot
She's
hear
not
you.
muted anymore, Paul. She keeps remuting herself back. We keep sending her
All right.
requests.
All right. So we have a motion and a second for Bruce Solomon. Rui, when you come on, then we'll get your vote also. But since we have the two, I'll ask for the vote on Bruce. I vote aye. Yes. Ronnie? Well, she's circling again.
Ronnie voted yes. I heard her.
Well, I don't have one of those signs to put up. I don't have a sign. Please.
Guess if I go, I don't want to have.
Thank you, Rui. Okay, I would like to just finish the vote on Bruce, and then I would like to come back and maybe, I think we have, the attorney is on with us. Robert, are you on with us? And maybe I'll defer to him for an explanation. But in the meantime, we have Bruce Solomon. We have two yay votes. Rui, I don't know if you voted in any of that explanation, but I didn't hear that, so I don't know if you did vote. But apparently you've opted not to. So that motion passes. We appoint Bruce Solomon to the board, correct? Okay, we have one more position to fill. That leaves, there are three other candidates, Stacy, Christopher, and Gino. Do either of the other board members have someone that they would like to nominate from that group of three?
Ronnie or Rui?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yep.
I nominate Plummer.
Chris Plummer?
Yes.
Okay. I'll second that. Any discussion? None? Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, let's move on to the next agenda item, which is to reorganize the official, the officers, to reorganize the officers.
Okay, so now we have a board that consists of, I just want to write the names down, so I've got Bruce, Chris. Are Bruce or Chris on the call with us?
Robert is actually on. He raised his hand, so I'm gonna allow him.
Okay,
to
yeah, I would
unmute
like him
himself.
to speak to what we put out. Thank you. Robert?
Hi, I wanted to make sure if Bruce is there that since you appointed him to the board, he should be voting.
Good point.
Chris.
Is Bruce on?
Bruce is on. I just sent him an error
I am.
to unmute himself.
All right, Bruce, there he is. Hey, Bruce.
Hi.
Can we get your vote on, well, I guess it would be for Chris Plummer, correct?
Aye.
Okay, that's an affirmative vote. Okay. Thank you. All right. And Robert, is there a response that you think we need to make in terms of what Rui brought up with the validity of the meeting?
Sure. I provided a written opinion to you regarding the information that I reviewed. The fact that there was a notice for a special meeting to recall 2 individuals who are no longer on the board and no one else, and that the documentation from that meeting was not delivered to the board until well beyond the 5 days that the statute provides for any kind of a formal dispute. In my opinion, that the meeting was not a valid meeting to begin with, since the purpose was moot, and that was the only purpose of the meeting. It wouldn't be appropriate to add recall of additional people without appropriate notice, and as a consequence, that meeting would be considered a nullity. If anybody wants to challenge that through arbitration, the owners who are seeking recall have the right to do that. The board has the ability to proceed as it has proceeded so far.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you for the clarification. All right, let's move along. What's next on our agenda, Steph?
This is the reorganization of the officers.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. I would like to make a motion to remove Rui as vice president. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bruce. Any discussion?
Where's Chris Plummer? Is he,
Chris, are you on?
Let me look for him now in the.
I don't see him on the list unless he's one of the phone numbers.
I see him as well.
Right. Doesn't look like he's on the call, Robert. We can proceed without his vote, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion by me, second by Bruce. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Bruce, aye. Ronnie?
Aye.
Ronnie,
There she is.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Rui, I'm assuming you're opposed, but I can't, I don't see you on this anymore. Did we lose Rui?
no,
she's on.
She's there.
Any opposed? Rudy?
I don't see any, but at this point, we have a majority that rules. So the motion passes to remove Rui as vice president.
And what position do you want to put her in?
Just in a director's position.
Okay. We just need that for the minutes.
Do I need to make a motion to do that?
No.
Okay. So now we have a vice president position open. I'll open
I
it up.
nominate Paul.
Who are you nominating?
Paul.
No, I'm going to stay in as president unless Bruce wants to take this
Oh,
on.
okay.
Hey, Paul, I have one quick question.
Yes.
Robert, Chris Plummer is not on the call. How does that handle if he doesn't accept the appointment?
Well, he could tender a resignation and then they'll appoint again.
So we're assuming that he's accepting since he's indicated an initial.
Okay, got
interest,
it.
Right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to nominate Bruce for vice president. Bruce, you good with that?
Whatever you need.
All right, brother. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Again, I'm not seeing Rui, so I don't know what's
Rui's
happening
here.
here.
Send her a request to unmute herself if she wants to speak.
Okay. Again, the majority voted anyway. And so what's the other open officer position? Is it?
Treasurer, secretary, which Ronnie is already, so there's no need to organize that. Treasurer.
All right. So the last.
And then there's secretary.
So I would nominate Chris for secretary. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ronnie.
Okay.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Measure passes. Yep.
At some point, I would like to have an opportunity to address the homeowners. I don't know if now is the time or later, but I come to this board, let's say, unjaded. I haven't participated in the board for quite some time. I understand there are issues, and I'm wide open to listen to everything. I've seen a lot of hostility take place. I'm watching this Zoom call, and I think I'm watching my second grader having a field day at school. I expect that everybody is professional. We all respect the value of our homes, and we're only here for the betterment of our community. Am I incorrect? Is there anybody here that doesn't agree with that? I mean, feel free to shake your head, whatever you want to do. But I have to get, for those of you who, first of all, for those of you who don't know who I am, I was one of the first people to move into Towngate, and myself and one other individual were conveyed the community from the builder. So we had this from the get-go with, I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Bruce, just go ahead and keep speaking and,
No, I'm going to react to these people because there's no need for this. I didn't do anything to you, any of you. I'm trying to fix this problem because there is a problem. But I will tell you this. When you moved into Towngate, you accepted that you were moving into a regulated, managed community that was ruled not by anybody in particular, but there was a blue book, and you all signed off on it, and you agreed to live here by the rules. So if you've got a problem with that, you should have really rethought the whole concept of moving into a homeowners association regulated community. I didn't like it either, but it is what it is, and it's there for a reason. it's there for the good of all of us. I believe in as much transparency in the board as possible. And anything that is combative within our own community, we all pay for that. There's not some entity that's going to pay for some lawyer for an outside group. It's us. We are all Towngate. We're not individuals. We are a group. This is our home. So I am willing to work with the board and the homeowners to resolve whatever conflicts they are, whether it's Comcast or whether it's opening up the pools, which I've been complaining about for months to open the pools. And I was met with the same thing that you were met with. I'm not beholden to what was Continental and now it's First Residential. I'm not beholden to them. We hired them, we could fire them. So this is going to be a clean slate, folks. That's the only way I agreed to join this board, was to try to fix problems as opposed to relegating issues that are moot points. You can't have a second board. So you want to recall everybody, get 2/3 of everyone, the 5,000 people that live here in Towngate. Get a majority of them and you can make a motion. 200 or 300 people, you have no power. You have a say, but you don't have power. And these homeowners and meetings, this is for the board of directors. I've always felt that this wasn't appropriate, but when the board meets, you are guests. You really have no say-so. I didn't make that rule. That's the way it was written. So with that, Paul, I will give you back the floor.
Thank you, Bruce. And I appreciate those words. I think I would like to suggest to this board now that we make a pledge to one another to try to work together as a board for the betterment of our entire community. There's no other agenda. There's nothing else to it than we just work together. We've got work to do. We've got a lot of challenges in front of us, but we also have a lot of opportunities in front of us. I think if we work together, we can accomplish a lot of really great things. And I appreciate the words, Bruce. I agree with you. I think that it's been my say from day one that we're not beholden to anyone. Everything is on the table. No one's getting anything extra from any vendors or anything like that. There's nothing like that going on, despite information to the contrary. And I resent the implications when that comes up. I don't operate my life that way. I certainly don't operate my life in that way with this community. And I only expect and only ask for an opportunity to show that to everybody. That's all. That's all I'm interested in. I'm really not interested in anything other than that. So having said that, let's move on with our work and let's get things accomplished. We've got a lot of things in front of us here tonight. We can get a lot of things done. I think we can work well together as long as we work together. That's it. That's the whole thing. All right. Okay. Any other comments? If not, then let's move on to the next thing on our agenda, Steph.
Okay, this is old business. So the first item is the pool and playground reopening. We know this has been a very touchy subject for everybody. So Paul, we can start the discussion.
Yeah, you know what, Bruce, I couldn't agree with you more. I think we're in a position now where, we were going to vote about in the last meeting, and we probably should have done it earlier than that. But the fact is, what I'd like to do is open the discussion to reopening the pools and the playgrounds. I think at this point, people are adults. They can conduct themselves appropriately, maintain social distancing, wearing masks, if that's what's required and so on. I believe it is. I think if you're out among other people, I believe you're required to wear masks. So I would like to kind of pose that to the board. The board as it consists right now, unfortunately, Chris is not on. So it's four of us that are on this call now. So it's Bruce, myself, Ronnie, and Rui. I'll open it to discussion about pools. I would like to keep it as both things, pools and playgrounds, for discussion purposes.
I believe that the homeowners, probably because of the atmosphere, should be required to sign a waiver. as far as a hold harmless to the association, because we can't prevent the spread of one-on-one contact issues. It's basically, yes, the pools are open, yes, the playgrounds are open, but you are still entering at your own risk. There's still a situation. It didn't go away. Vaccination's great, things will get better, but there's still an issue out there, and I'm all for it. I'm ready to hit the pool tomorrow. But I really think that there has to be some kind of document that holds the association and the home or the management company harmless, because we can't babysit these pools. We don't have the money to do it. We can remove furniture, we can lock bathrooms, which I don't really want to do, but essentially, we're not going to have a custodian sitting in every bathroom for 8 hours a day. It's not going to happen. So the homeowners have to assume some responsibility here.
I think also, Stephanie, you had forwarded, I think at least I saw it, a statute, or not a statute, I think it was an order from the governor regarding hold harmless, specifically, I think, to associations, condo associations, I believe, which I think addresses that associations would not be held liable for at least until, I think, there was a time frame. I don't remember what it was. I'd have to look at the document again.
It basically said that it would just really be difficult for, an owner or somebody in the community to legally, bring up a lawsuit against the association if they were to contract COVID while using one of our facilities or one of the amenities. They would have to show proof that they contracted COVID at the pool, and would have to show other, documentation that shows that for a fact this is what happened. So, but also just to mention, I sent it to you, Paul, but Bruce, you haven't seen it yet. Rachel and I have seen a few parks and a few pools and communities that have a sign that basically says that you're using this amenity at your own risk. Just make sure that you're self-monitoring. So that was part of the discussion. We wanted to purchase those signs and put them up in the pools and the playgrounds.
Okay.
Do we have enough in place to open up these areas?
We don't have any signage right now. Right now, it's more of a discussion for you as a board to vote to reopen and at what date. And I had recommended to Stephanie, we'll have temporary signs via paper and all that in order to expedite it, in order to wait for the signage to be placed.
Okay, but are there any other issues that need to be addressed prior to opening up these areas?
The only one recommendation that I would probably have for the board is that you get a company to come in and possibly do a sanitization of the facility, of what it is that be used, and maybe put it on a quarterly rotation or something like that, just to know that, periodic sanitization. I know I have communities that do that with gyms and things like that they're allowing residents to use.
I agree.
Yeah, I think in the warm weather is certainly back upon us, and I think I would like us to take steps towards reopening the pools and the playgrounds, and I think the interim step of having like a thing that's on the gate as you walk in, just alerting people that that social distancing is still in effect and masks should be worn, and whatever those requirements are. I think we should move on this pretty quickly to get people back into into the pools and playgrounds as soon as we can. I would suggest, if we could, this is my recommendation, if we could reopen them by the weekend. Are there things we need to do to get them ready? Do the pools need to be shocked? Do the lounges need to be pulled out? Or we didn't talk about that either. But
Yeah, we would have to get John and the team to stack away the chairs and the pool furniture. I was definitely thinking that we need to have some type of wipes or hand sanitizer station while there, but what Rachel suggested is probably a good idea too, just to have it sanitized after a certain amount of days, or I don't know.
I would say by the end of next week, in order for us to get that schedule, get the sanitization stations put up on the wall, things like that, to come in and have supply and things like that.
So, okay, so today's the 5th, April 5th, right?
I would say by April 16th. That's 2 weeks theoretically.
All right. Ronnie or Rui, do you have any input at this point?
No, as long as, I mean, I think 2 weeks is a good amount of time, because you still have to order the signs, and you still have to go in, you know, pull everything out and make sure that the pool has been cleaned, and just sanitize everything that needs to be cleaned down. So, I mean, I think 2 weeks is good.
All right.
I mean, it's either that or do a soft opening. We can target a particular date, but if we have everything in place prior to that, there's no reason we can't unlock the gates.
Right. Yeah. So why don't we kind of monitor it and see where we are with it? If we can open sooner, that would be great. If not, we'll shoot for the 16th. We can send out a notice to the community. I think we should have in the notice some basic rules of safety, such as social distancing and I forget. Did we decide we're going to put the lounge chairs out?
No, we're going to put them away. The residents will have the ability to bring their own chairs. The notice that I sent you for the pool opening that I worked on, Paul, that's basically what we would send out, just basically
Okay.
guidelines and what to follow when they're using the amenities.
All right. Well, let's share that with the entire board tomorrow, if you can, what that notification is, so we all can sign off on it and just decide, if there's anything we need to add or edit from the message. But I agree. So do we need a motion, or we could just kind of decide we're going to reopen it?
I would motion it.
All right. So, Bruce, you want to make the motion?
Yeah, I motion that the pools and play areas be open no later than April 16th.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. All right. Ronnie seconds it. Any discussion? Okay, I think we had a long discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Rui, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on.
I sent her a request to unmute herself, but I really.
Okay. All right. We're trying. Okay.
No, she's on.
All right. So that
Wait,
motion
hold on.
passes. What?
Rui,
She said something.
I think she's having some technicality issues with it. Okay, so Rui, when I press the request to unmute yourself, you have to just press it once and you'll be able to talk. I just sent you the request now, so you can unmute yourself.
There you go. You're unmuted.
Rui, and sorry to interrupt you. Everyone is muted. Ronnie is sending me requests to unmute yourself, and so is Paul. You can stay unmuted.
Okay, Rui, you get credit for it. Thank you. Okay. Any other discussion? So Rui, that's a positive that you're voting aye, right? Is that
The request has been sent again, Rui. Are you voting aye?
It's her speaker that keeps unmuting it.
It's
Her speaker. I'm not touching anything. I'm not touching
either.
She's unmuted now.
Okay, Rui's with us.
Okay. All right, Rui. Okay. Thank you, Rui. Okay. Let the record show that was Rui's motion initially that got the pools reopened. Thank you, Rui. We appreciate your work on that. Okay. What else? Moving on. What do we got?
Okay, the next agenda item is the Comcast construction. There's really no motions to make. This is a discussion, just a few statements I want to make. Is moving along pretty quickly. The project is now entering its final stages. A lot of these sub-associations have already completed their construction and have already completed their final walkthroughs. They're just waiting to get the go ahead so that they can, get the fiber optic connection done to the inside of their homes. The other communities that are left on the list, they're basically scheduled to be finished around the end of April, mid-April, end of April. So let's continue, to move forward. Again, if you guys have any issues with sprinklers, any major issues, please feel free to send me an email, and I'll be able to assist.
Okay. We did have a request from one of the sub associations to have someone from the master board meet their sub, I think in a week or so, to help them with their walkthrough, if
Yeah,
possible.
that's for Canary Bay.
That from Canary Bay. I don't know if anyone is available. Do you remember what the date was?
The
Was it April
14th, Wednesday
14th?
at 10 a.m.
At 10 a.m. Is anyone on the board from the master board available to kind of walk through with them?
What is this?
The sub. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, so Canary Bay, they're done with well, half of the side is done with construction, and they're doing their first final walkthrough just to make sure that everything is okay before the contractors leave the area. The Canary board has requested that the master property manager and some of the board members attend this final walkthrough, just because it's a master project. So Paul's basically asking if anybody's available to attend that meeting with me on the 14th.
I won't be in town.
Okay, Bruce. Ronnie, or maybe Chris Plummer, if we confirm that he's
So
on.
let's follow up on email. Rui, you have your hand up, Rui. Go ahead, Rui.
Unmute your mic.
A request has been sent to you, Rui. You can unmute yourself.
There you go. You're unmuted.
There she is. And it's muted again.
Muted again.
I'm going to send another request, Rui.
Oh, she can hear us.
There you go. She's unmuted.
Rui, I find it a little bit confusing that you said that you received so many emails from Royal Bay. At previous board meetings, I've made it very clear that owners can send me an email if they have any issues. I do receive emails from Royal Bay residents, but it's not as nearly as much as these are claiming to say that you have received. So if you would like, you can forward those emails to me, and whatever it is that needs to be taken care of, I'll get it done. That is possible.
Can I ask Rudy a question? Rudy, you've lived in Towngate for a while, and you've gone through what AT&T did the last time when they came in to do a similar installation. Do you believe that there were less issues with AT&T than Comcast?
She's only been here for years. You have to unmute yourself.
No,
There
she's
you
not
go. You're
muted.
unmuted.
She's not talking.
You're unmuted. You're unmuted now.
I can only tell you that they did $5,000 worth of damage to my driveway. But to be fair, prior to that, Xfinity did the same thing. This is my personal experience.
Okay, so Rui, I just want to be clear. I don't believe that, certainly that I'm portraying it as we're not having issues. There are definitely issues, which is why I'm asking if someone from the board wouldn't mind doing the walkthrough with the sub-association. They've asked for it. They've requested it. My property got damaged and continues to be damaged. I've never portrayed it wasn't an issue and I didn't have concerns about it. So having said that, we've still got issues that need to be addressed and we will do a walkthrough with them. So I'm not sure where that's coming from, that you believe that it's been portrayed in some other way. Okay. Any other discussion? I forget, what were we on?
We
It
were
was just an
talking
update on
about-
the Comcast, right? Construction?
Yes.
Okay. Let's, any other conversation or discussion about it at this point? Yes, Rue. Go ahead, Rui.
Rui, they say hindsight's 2020. Was the contract negotiated correctly? Probably not. Did we make a contract for too long of a period of time? Probably. There is an upgrade clause in the contract that will cover the fiber. I've already spoken to AT&T or to Xfinity about that. But for us to renegotiate a signed contract will cost our community a tremendous amount of money. They've got very deep pockets and lots of lawyers. We don't. So who's going to pay for that? Because we're going to be voiding the contract. We will be in default of that contract. So we will be liable. So who's going to pay those dollars to Comcast? I don't want to. Do you? I mean, I fully understand your complaint. It's very valid, but it's hindsight. There are things that we can do, but there are things that we definitely can't do. You're not going to go back on that contract. It's going to cost you money. All of us.
I know that, and I was on the meeting with the Comcast lady that did a walkthrough. Actually, Rui, you were there also.
Hey, Ronnie, I just want to stop you for a second. I have a question to the attorney. We have people that are making signs and things like that. How should we be handling this? It's disrespectful and interrupting to the board as it relates to what's going on.
They're making signs at their homes and putting them.
No, they're putting them on the screen as we're
screen?
having the meeting, basically saying and talking disrespectful, using that as their voice.
Well,
There really isn't a lot that you can do besides ignore it.
they do have the opportunity to talk.
Rui, I did not ask you. I asked the attorney.
There really would be nothing you could do other than just pay no attention.
I mean, we have the ability to pull them, but that's not something we want to do.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah,
just,
I think everybody is entitled to free speech here. If they
Okay.
choose to use their
yeah,
signs, that's, you know,
Okay.
yeah,
do I think it's,
yeah, let's just move on. I don't want to get sidetracked on that.
Okay, Ronnie, go ahead. I'm
Let's-
sorry. Ronnie, go
Okay.
ahead.
What I was trying to say was the day that Rudy, you were in the meeting with when a representative from Comcast came, and I specifically asked that question, if they were going to charge each homeowner extra for pulling in the fiber lines into the home. She said no. One of my requests was to have a Comcast representative in this meeting for individuals that do have questions, and that way it doesn't come out of us, because apparently anything that comes out of us, Rudy, you're going to say it's not true. So I prefer for you to hear it from the horse's mouth themselves. So that's why I wanted a representative from Comcast to be here in this meeting.
I believe we did ask someone, but I don't think they were available for the meeting tonight. So I think, Ronnie, in our neighborhood, I think our fiber optics have already been wired to our homes. They may not be connected yet, but I think they were already wired.
Well, this was before, I mean, when this whole thing started,
Yeah,
we met with them. And because I also heard the rumors that each home was going to get charged once the fibers needed to be connected into our home. And that was one of the questions that I did ask. And they
Right.
said, no, that they would not be charging us, that
Right.
it's already included.
yeah.
Yeah, Megan is here, and she can confirm that, Ronnie.
She's there?
She's on the meeting.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you guys want to wait for her to clarify, or do you want to move forward?
I would like for her to clarify that.
Okay, give me a second.
Why don't we move on? I don't want to sit here in silence. We're wasting valuable time. Let's come back to that if she can just let us know when she's on and available. Okay. What's next on the agenda?
The next agenda item is committees.
Okay. So you may recall a while back, we had requested that people submit their names to work on subcommittees that could work with the board in terms of, I forget where all the committees are, but things like landscaping and contracts and so on. And I know that I think we've had a number of people that have signed up for those. And I think we need to, once Chris is, fully on the board and we get his commitment to it, I think we should assign these committees out to board members to be fed information from the subcommittee up through the board, so the board is better informed. So I guess at this point, that's kind of where we're at with it, right? I mean, all the committees, I think all the committees have had a number of people respond they wanted to join those, correct?
Correct.
All right. Do you have the list of what those committees are? I can't remember now.
It's landscaping, security, legal, contracts, and ARC.
Okay. All right. So why don't we? Does the rest of the board have any input on that or questions? Or I'd like to make a recommendation. This would be my recommendation. Can you get the names of the people that have asked to be on those committees, forward them to the entire board for all of us to take a look at, and then we can kind of decide which committees we'd like to work with more closely.
Yeah, I'll send you the document that I put in the meeting package that has their names, but I'll send it
Oh.
to the whole board since we have new board members that were added tonight. You guys
Okay.
can see it.
All right. Any other discussion from the board on that?
The only thing that I would like to address, and I'm just throwing this out there, just food for thought, particularly to our legal representation. I'm curious as to what it would take to move the whole function of the master ARC back to the individual subs, to have them make their own decisions about their own communities and their own houses. Because realistically, if somebody across the lake paints their house purple, I'm not going to see it. And if the people that are living across the street from them see the purple house, then they have to deal with it. But I just think that there's an extra step in there that doesn't need to be there. Just a concept.
Well, we're new to you, and that's obviously something we haven't looked at yet, but I would be happy to look into that for you.
Thank you.
So I guess, Bruce, the other part of that is whether we as a master board want to consider that change. Quite honestly, right now, between all the other stuff that I'm doing and Ronnie's doing, we're currently doing all the master ARCs, and it is a tremendous amount of work trying to navigate. I don't know how many different sub associations and what all their rules are. I mean,
Exactly.
it's a bear. It's a bear. So maybe we should look at that entire process and
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be now. We've got bigger things to deal with, but I'm just thinking moving forward that it would be something to explore. There's been talk for the person who's telling me to shut up. Thank you. Very, very kind. Thank you. Moving forward, people were complaining about not being able to make decisions about their property without doing the mother may I thing. And if we just move it off the shoulders of the master and move it to the subs, let them make the decisions for their own community. It's one less thing the master has to do, and we can focus on other things.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
an idea.
Yeah, in fact, I think we do have a request to look at a change in some of the ARC standards, which of course then have to be adopted by the sub board anyway. So I mean, we could pass all kinds of things, and the sub decides which ones of those they want to do. It seems
Well-
kind of a superfluous.
Well, the reality is that it has to go through their ARC before it comes to us anyhow.
Correct.
So why not just keep it within the sub?
Right. All right. Well, let's make sure that
Something
becomes
to think about.
Yeah, I think that should be a conversation for another board meeting to really delve more into it. And I'm pretty sure Plummer would have something to say about it. So I'd like to get his input as well. All right,
Okay.
moving on. What's next, Steph?
The contract review, when we put this on the agenda, it was mainly about the security contract. It came up for renewal. And I know that the board wants us to get RFPs, so you can discuss that. Yeah.
All right, so I think what we need to decide is just contracts in general. I think there was some discussion about auto renewals, which typically, I believe, become part of the contract that you sign initially anyway. That there's usually a provision for an auto renew, and whatever the provisions are, whether it's an increase of 3% or 10% or whatever it is, it just depends on the contract. That we should have an opportunity to review any contracts, certainly that are coming up to sunset. That's kind of a government term, but when they're coming up to an end. We should at least kind of look at them and decide, if nothing else, to look to see who else provides those services and what kind of rates might they give us. Having said that, I think we also want to look at things like, like, for example, security. Are we happy with security the way it is, or do we have issues with security? Whatever it is, I think we should have that conversation. And then maybe if we're okay with it, see, well, are we paying a good price for it? For the similar services from another company, possibly. The devil's always in the detail, and you never know what you're going to get until you get it. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge if you make just changes just for the sake of making changes. But I think we should be having those conversations about what contracts are coming due, where we are in them, and certainly any contracts that we currently have that we're unhappy with. And I think that's where these committees could really be helpful. So, that kind of was the conversation we had. I don't know if anyone else has, comments they'd like to make about contracts in general.
Well, I agree with you, Paul. We need to, at least when contracts are coming up for renewal, reach out to other companies, depending on what it is, if it's landscaping, security, and see if we get a better contract, if we get, what we're paying for. If it's good to know what's out there so we can compare it.
Rui?
Can I tell you what? I know. I was told by the First Services that the contract was coming up for renewal. So instead, we can look at the contract and go ahead and reach out to other security companies to see what they have to offer. But we were trying to do this, but because of the amount of work and research that was given to these two individuals, speaking about Stephanie and Rachel, for stuff that was 5 years ago, it pretty much pushed us back.
You're not muted, Rui. Rui,
And that's what I'm saying.
It depends on whether you feel that what you're paying is a value. And that has to do with what services you utilize that they're providing. If you're using everything, it's a bargain. If you're not using any of it, it's not a bargain. But that was something that should have been determined prior to acquiring the contract in the first place to find out what the community wanted. The community knew about this contract. Everybody knew about it, but everybody is talking about it after the fact. It's too late. So the decisions were made. But yes, you can back out of a contract, but it's going to cost you a lot more money than what it's going to be to pay your association dues to cover Comcast.
Wow.
What in my
What'd you
car?
say?
Oh, you can't get this food
I
here.
don't understand. Rudy, if you recall, you obviously told us on the March meeting that Paul nor I were no longer on the board. So how can we fix anything on any contract or deal with any contract if you were advising us that we were not on the board on March? Do you recall that?
Stephanie, how much did the association receive from Comcast when we signed that contract?
The dollar amount I really honestly don't have on hand, but I can definitely look it up for you guys and provide that.
Please do, because it's usually a substantial amount of money. And that being said,
Are you referring to the door fee?
if we negate our contract, they're going to want that money back.
Bruce, the sum was approximately $500,000 and the negotiator received about 100,000. So in the bank, the association has about 400,000.
And what currently,
Approximately, I don't have that exact number, but
Okay.
Stephanie will circle back
what,
around. And just, go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry, what currently are our reserves? I'm assuming
Let me
that
look,
that's
let me
your
look that up right now. And just so you know, Bruce, and I don't know if you've been part of meetings, but the master board had been talking about potentially distributing door fee money again to the sub-association like they did a couple years ago.
Everybody's in a different situation with regard to this cable contract. For me, it was a wash. It was either send the money directly to Comcast or pay it through the association. But that's just me, and I don't represent everybody else. So everybody's has their own different situation. And to be perfectly honest with everybody, we've gone through a very difficult year, and everybody's a little bit cranky here. So I understand everybody's upset. There's a lot of people that can't afford that extra $50 a month. I get that. I do. And I understand that there are people in our development that are hurting. So that is not going without being noticed.
So Bruce, currently in the reserves, there's 535,000. And just so you know, the association over the course of the last year and a half has done significant landscaping upgrades, and they also did 2 or 3 tot lots. They did gazebos and cabanas and things like that at the pool. So the question of 1 million missing in our reserves, the only thing is the association spent it and put it into those places.
But prior to the Comcast contract, we tapped our reserves down to $37,000.
Absolutely not. Never. And that money for the Comcast is not sitting in reserves. It's sitting in a money market operating account. Because
Okay.
if it was sitting in reserves, we couldn't distribute it to the sub-associations.
I understand. See, there's a lot of questions out there, and I'm willing to look into all of them. You don't have to hold up little signs for me to get it. I understand. That's why I'm here, to try to work out these problems. There are issues, but we're gonna deal with it in a calm manner. We're not gonna start throwing rocks at each other because it doesn't accomplish anything. Rui, can't hear you.
I have a question. Can we continue on the agenda just so we are able to get through that?
Yeah, I was asking, I don't see Paul any longer, but I wanted to know if he was just ready to move on to the next agenda.
He's
item.
here. He's there.
Okay, you're here.
He needs to be a.
It's a lot of money. Really, I look forward to looking at your data and I would like to know what the sources of the data are. You have to qualify it. You can't just show me numbers, but I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and go over all of that.
Okay,
Está riendo ella.
Let's
I'm sorry.
move
I'm
forward.
sorry. We have to move the meeting
Let's
on.
move
We're
on.
gonna run out of time. I'm sorry. We need to move on. So,
Item is the Kingsview ARC. The Board of Kingsview, they sent us a request, they sent the master a request to add bronze window frames to the already approved window frames, which are currently only white. So the board can discuss this and, make a decision so that we can get back to the Kingsview board.
okay, I did actually have a conversation with the sub association about their request. To me, it was, back to your earlier point, Bruce, about how much control do we want to have in terms of what subs are going to, adopt or not adopt. My take is that as a master, we have an awful lot of authority and awful lot of say so in what goes on. And I think this is an area that I would prefer we kind of back down a little bit and would suggest that we would approve this. There may be some strong feelings about that. It changes the look of the homes, but it's one sub association that's asking for it. I would be in the camp where I would approve it. The subs then have to decide whether they want to adopt it as their color scheme. So
What is the alternative color other than white? What do they want to do?
I think that's it.
Just bronze.
Okay, bronze.
Yeah, they want bronze. Yeah, they want bronze added to the list. Windows and doors, I believe. Right?
No, I think they currently have the bronze doors approved, but they want to get the windows to be bronze too. So I guess the owners can match.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you're going to approve it, you got to approve for the entire accessories for the house. It would look strange to do half of it.
Right. Right.
That's a tough call, but I really think you throw that back to the sub. And I mean, personally, I don't know what it would look like. I'd have to see.
But Paul, you said that the doors are already bronze, correct?
In Kingsview, I believe they're approved already. Ronnie, they just want to get the frames approved as well.
Okay. I mean, the doors are already approved, then why not approve the windows?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but again, I think it comes back to a more basic question about what our role as a master should be, and I think we should be handing back more local control to our subs. Again, that's my personal take on it.
If I might add, the whole role and the whole point of the master is more or less a rubber stamp for a double set of eyes. Typically, 9 times out of 10, anything presented to the master from a sub-association usually is approved. It's just, you have to just want to make sure that you really kind of maintain overall aesthetics. Like, again, back to Bruce's point, I don't think approved purple house color is sufficient for an association. But, from bronze window frames, again, if the master is willing to accept it as part of the overall okay, then it still falls within the sub-association to be able to allow it within their sub-association. If that answers the question.
Yeah.
So, do we want to go for making a motion on this item? We have a motion. I mean, I'm requesting if someone wants to make a motion to approve that request from that sub-association for bronze doors and windows, or just the windows?
The windows.
Just the windows.
My understanding, the doors are already bronze,
They're
correct?
already approved, Ronnie.
Okay, so we're just here to approve the windows.
So basically, instead of having white window frames, you would have bronze window frames.
Exactly, to match the doors.
Correct.
Okay, then
Make the
Has
motion.
anybody seen these windows? Has
Yeah,
anybody?
they're in very modern homes. A lot more modern. It's more modern in today's style and building that they have the bronze. I have a neighbor. I can take a picture and send it to you guys if you guys.
Well, I mean, I know what it looks like. I wasn't sure whether or not, what goes around comes around. I had bronze in my old house, then it turned white. So it's going to keep on evolving. If I had my druthers, I would keep them white, but I'm not going to dictate to the sub-association. So I would kick it down to them. If they're bringing it forth to the master for approval for their sub-association or a particular homeowner, then we should approve it.
All right. So okay, is that a motion?
I motion.
It is.
Okay, but Bruce, the motion then is that the master adopts the provision that bronze door frames and window frames would be approved at the master level, which means that then the sub-associations would be able to elect whether to adopt that as well.
Correct.
That's correct. In other words, if the
let's just be
sub
clear about the motion.
decides no, then it's no.
Right. So just to clarify your motion, it's to approve at the master level the bronze doors and windows.
Correct.
Okay. In a second, Ronnie?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Next up. Thank you.
Let me see if I can get it.
Rui, you have your hand up. Sorry. Yes,
She's not
Rui.
muted, Paul.
Okay. Go ahead, Rui.
Ruby,
I'm sorry. What? I didn't hear you. What?
she's just getting back to the point that she was making at the beginning of the meeting, but we're almost at the adjournment of the meeting. Let's adjourn and then we'll do open forum.
Okay. So, okay. But go ahead, Rui. Go ahead.
Ruby, go ahead.
Rudy, you requested for this meeting?
Oh. Thank you, Roy.
Rui, you done reading your script?
Yes, Ronnie, she's done.
Okay. Well, she was supposed to be a part of that meeting, the meeting that she claims, and she never showed up. She was the one that actually started the meeting. She wanted that meeting, and she never showed up. So if she would have been there, as she should have been there, she would know the answers to her questions. That's all I have to say.
Okay, let's move on. So what do we got? What's next?
It's just to adjourn the meeting, Paul, so that we can proceed to open forum so the residents can.
Because I want to give people enough time. We go till 9 p.m., folks, okay? So once we adjourn this meeting, you have 3 minutes each to anything that you want to add or ask or put on the agenda.
In the way that you need to identify if you want to speak, there's a raise your hand feature in the thing. If you raise your hand, we'll get through as many people we can in the 3 minute. I see Frida, do you still want to speak? Okay. You gonna send it, Stephanie, or should I?
I don't see her raising her hand.
Her hand is raised. I'll unmute her. Go ahead, Frida, you have 3 minutes.
I would like to say what you're doing is not right altogether, and be careful what you're doing because that may cause some problems to you all in the future. You haven't said, and you have some people warned you, especially Rui, and you didn't accept what she was saying, and you just ignored her. But I am just warning you, you have some fiduciary duties, and the previous board also did, and FSR does too. So I'm just warning you, be careful what you're doing. This is a hostile takeover, as a matter of fact. You're just deciding what to do. I mean, I'm not defending who you choose to. What I'm saying is what you're doing is not right. Okay, this is just, you cannot just ignore homeowners' decisions. Actually, Paul and Ronnie, you were on the board. You are on the board because of those 400 people's proxies. Remember that, right? And I think what happened with the previous board members were already on the board was a setup. They actually resigned at the very last minute, and you decided to do it by yourself. You are doing whatever you are doing, that's fine. But all I'm saying is just be cautious. This may cause all of you a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Frida.
Louis
Next.
Gonzalez has raised his hand.
It's not funny.
Who is it? Next, Stephanie? I see Edison.
I don't know. I saw the hand go up first with Luis Gonzalez, so I'll mute him and then Edison can go next.
Hi, good evening. This is Luis Gonzalez. This is my second virtual board meeting, and it's a very interesting board meeting. It's a tough one. I am a board of directors for a large corporation, so it is tough work. And again, I'm not going to comment on the operations, but as a Towngate homeowner since 1996, I've seen the community go from, you know, flourishing kind of down to the point that we really need help in our community. All of us, we need help. I see that Commissioner Iris Seipel is on there, and again, I do a lot of walking throughout the community, and again, I send a lot of information to Stephanie this evening in an email, but a lot of garbage throughout the community, a lot of garbage. I mean, the Towngate Park, it seems to be a dump as well. So if the commissioners is listening to me, maybe they should take a look at that, because that represents our community as a whole. It's called Towngate Park, and again, it resides within Towngate, and so we really need to look at that. You know, the roads, of course, need help. I mean, we recently, in the last year, we had a lot of floods around our area, and I know that we can do a lot better with the city in trying to resolve these issues. As far as Comcast, I don't have any comments. Obviously, I didn't see the contract, and I know there's a lot of sprinkler damages, especially in my home, etc., and so forth. And so I know that we'll get through that. Hopefully, we'll get through it sometime in the near future. But again, I hope to intend to participate more in this board, and maybe in the future down the road, I'll run for board of directors. But again, very interesting this evening. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Louis. I guess up next is Edison.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Hi, Edison. We hear you.
Perfect. So, you know, I've been a part of this this whole two board thing since day one. Like Paul, you know, I was also.
Can you speak up a little?
Sure. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
So, you know, like Paul, I've been like Ronnie, part of this, to form the board of directors. Things didn't work out that way. I mean, I don't really care so long as we have a good board of directors. Who is on the board? However, I read the opinion that's been sent out from Mr. K. And it appears to me that Mr. K only answered his opinion is based on one set of information, not on the entire set of facts. I'm not getting into that. But I would urge Mr. K regarding that situation. Because it appears to me that your answer is basic, just one set side. So I would look at that. Nevertheless, this morning, congratulations to the energy of Mr. Solomon. Could be a little condescending, but I heard today a little bit you should back yourself up, but I want to congratulate you. I am a little old shoes to not being the old 2020, particularly in that management company, but you don't work for that then. So and you work for the membership, right? So you work for a membership and that. So I would urge you to listen to everybody to the point that it's doable, not give everybody a chance to express their thoughts on some other topic. That would be all.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else to make a comment or have a question?
It looks like Neil.
Carmen, I'm making notes, okay?
Oh, sorry, lady.
I'm new resident to Towngate, mainly one thing I wanted to always have the main masters is whenever someone buys my home, they were going through the association process, right? You would have to pay something, and they also gather things for like the vehicle info, so they can run around or whatever, along with social like ID and other stuff. So when they're gathering all these things for vehicles, what are they doing? Because at the end of the day, subdivision is again charging us, $15 or $4 for each car sticker to pass through the gate. So what is that 100 going towards? Is that documented anywhere in the master association?
Neil, this is something you have to address with the sub-association. This has nothing to do with Towngate Master.
Right, but the master is the one that has that,
No, master has nothing to do with this. This is all the sub-association. You would need to reach out to our Barbara Wilson, some property manager on this. On your okay.
Thanks for explanation.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, we'll open up 6 questions or so.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I want to ask about the damages that were caused when the vendors from Comcast came in to help out the audit, and particularly in my side, I would have to for 6 months. I've been sending emails to use Stephanie to contractor without nobody answering me. What I want to have is that they send me a letter that I have to fix it myself when it's supposed to be the contractor to fix it. And it's been more than 3 months since the last person how was fixed. So it's only two people where I live, and nothing else. So I don't know what to do. I contact Comcast, Stephanie, the first resident. I don't know if I'm sending it to somebody wrong, or if you can give me the list of somebody that I contact. But nothing has been done yet, so I'm worried about that.
Ms. I haven't everything from you, so if you don't mind, maybe send it to whoever the contact with CC me or do CC me. But if you can just please forward that email and then we'll discuss it tomorrow.
Okay. Maybe you can I'm still not receiving any email regarding the meetings or the agenda, so I know the news of the entrance, but not because I received emails about the meeting, so I appreciate it in that way that you also send me more information about meetings and the agenda as well.
Okay, we're going to see if the email is out, see what's going on right now, you're not receiving the emails, the rest of them now, okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I see Washington raising hand,
No, it's Stephanie.
No, give me a second, Washington. What were you saying, Rachel?
There's a few other people that have had their hand up. If you go to the participants on the side, you can see that, and I think Commissioner Streisel wants to include the committee at 55, she can go on. Okay.
I guess the next one would be NAR.
NAR. I don't see that listed in here, so go to next one's going to be cash.
Yeah.
Mr. Gupta, you got to unmute yourself. Washington, we'll get to you.
I'm sending another request, Mr. Gupta.
Economic growth and then competition. When I don't know that still competition. If there is competition, price goes down and we can over. And I'm not having that part. And I go to area, it's just the I'm okay with that. I'm not getting anything, but just keep in mind, you don't want to kill the competition like that. Plus, if we sign a contract,
Then technology changed. And then last contract, I had one wanted as one basis. They charged me for that one plus. I also forgot that never got. I paid $700 tax over there. They say you signed for not tax. I paid $700 less of that hurt. I just want to fix my some board and I have to get sometime most of the time actually. But the state is if your budget or your contract is more than 10%, you should try to get it. Actually, this is a good category. And what's on is about temple. Is construction complete, resident complete, and can get one down there also.
Mr. Newman, let me just check the script I have that.
I check. I was thinking if out of 14, if you are on that's the connecting that way, not everybody jumping in the same time.
Okay, so construction's not yet finished in Temple Wall. Restoration is April 25th. Still to be determined. So let's see how it moves forward, and then maybe in the next 2 weeks you can check back again and see what next step.
Yes, let us know when it's done. It's about bothering you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dutta.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, let's try to unmute.
Washington wants to go first.
Okay, yeah.
One comment from him.
Are you able to bring on the CMI? I said the response. You can go ahead on Mr. Washington.
You hear me?
We do.
Oh, great. Richard, this is Washington Rodriguez. I'm on my way, 155-53. I still have few emails to you, begging you to hurry up with Comcast problem. They cracked my entrance to my driveway. I know you direct the emails back to Mike Martin, and you more than we are involved in the situation, but you never directed me, and you never tried to contact me to see if you can solve the problem. I know for sure it's not just me who has the problem, but I'm sorry to tell you, no one will have a chance to tell you, you're not helping me at all. I like you, and me, we have a meeting together. I believe you can come up with a manager, and I'm making a group, and we can get together, like to solve our problem, because the company okay, the contract on my, they're not just trying to avoid perfect. That's my idea here.
Mr. Washington, technically, Rachel's our ID. I'm the manager for Towngate. I kind of am, taking any concerns regarding Comcast and my project. So can you please send me that email? I'll follow up with you and make sure that it gets taken care of.
I will send you as soon as we finish the my email I told you. I'm going to together all the ones and you're ready. So you can have since my when. Then you're have yes. So you
So you said it's
you answer to the group, to the group. Martin, Martin is the manager of the Comcast work here. And Noel Martinez. So everybody we're in the group, and you answer that, asking them questions they never directly in the emails. So that's why now I have a chance to talk directly from everybody else. I beg you again, you hear me in that problem with Comcast.
You can forward the message. I mean, you said I know that I responded, but I don't recall exactly what the situation is. But either send the email, not respond to you in the morning.
Yeah. I think my email, I think the pictures and everything, but I didn't get help. I expect. I appreciate as soon as we finish the meeting, I will get your email. Back up all the emails that you already, so that way you can know where I am.
Okay, thank you.
Good. So now Commissioner Cycle. Did you send out stuff?
I did send it.
Okay. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Yes, ma'am.
Again.
Thank you for this opportunity, just a couple minutes. Just want to say good evening to everyone. Everyone has had a great holiday. Observe the holiday that is good for you and your family. I want to respond very quickly to Mr. Gonzalez and to concerns we brought up, which was the park, and that he was not happy with the cleanliness of the park and also the street flooding. So as far as the park goes, I will on that tomorrow, Mr. Gonzalez, to make sure that not only is the park cleaned up, but that we are following our own rules of sanitizing on a regular basis and any of the equipment that's out there, and making sure who is actually out there using the parks. Because it is still limited on a lot of the city park. But as far as the cleaning it up and that there's garbage, we'll be on that tomorrow morning. So thank you for that. You mentioned also, Mr. Gonzalez, the roads and flooding. As you know, the side road coming through Towngate is a public road and the city's responsibility is there. Behind the gates, private roads, which communities have responsibility for. But if there is a problem with some flooding, I certainly have no problem working with Stephanie and Rachel and your board to perhaps have a meeting, maybe an on-site meeting to actually look at what you're talking about with South Drainage District, with our city engineer to come out and see if in fact there are issues or recommendations as to perhaps dealing with some of that. So if that is okay with you all, definitely I'll have more conversation about that. Mr. Jacklett, President Jacklett, that's with you, local board of having that conversation, where we need to set that and what help that the city can afford to work with you all on and afford our duties on. I'd like to be able to do that. So that's really all I wanted to talk about this evening. I just wanted to say congratulations to the new board, the members there. I do hope that there are a lot of good things tonight about there's a lot of work to be done in town, and we're going to work together for the betterment of the community and personalities to the side. It's all about going forward and doing the right thing for the community. So if you all do not reach me, if there's any issues I can help with, please reach out and contact me. We'll start working on those two things tomorrow. So thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Commissioner Cycle.
All back to you.
Okay, there we go. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for tonight's meeting. I think we got a lot done tonight. I have a very positive feeling about moving forward. Let's whatever it is that has, let's just move forward and try to get things done the way we need to. Everyone for this entire community. We truly are all in this together. I believe that. I know that everyone else that's on this call, and even the people that are not, people that have come up to me in my own neighborhood, want to see us all do better as a board and do better as a community. So we'll continue to work on that. That's what we need to do. I thank the rest of the board. Congratulations to the new board members that just joined us tonight, and I'm looking forward to working with all of us to get together as a board. And having said that, that's all I have. I think we are adjourned for the night.
We haven't made a motion yet to adjourn the meeting, so do you want to make that motion?
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And it is 8.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi, my mom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aye.
Good night.